10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's right, folks. We are back. Oh, that was loud. All right, folks, we are back, and we are happy to be here with you. This is No Soundbites Allowed with your host, Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier. And more importantly, we are on the Exceptional Conservative Network. That is right, the TECN TV. And we are here every Tuesday at 1 p.m., every Thursday at 1 p.m., Saturdays from 12 till 2, and we look forward to always having you here with us. Please remember, your voice is important. We want to hear you. That means that when we're on, please send us a text on our phone number, 607-242-9247. You can reach out to us on Twitter at MVConsult. You can reach out to us by calling in, or you can also reach us on Facebook or, of course, our chat room. We look forward to talking to everyone. Your voice is the thing we want to hear. So we have a lot going on here. We have our intern, John the intern, is here with us. Or John, is it better John the college intern, or is it better John the intern?
I prefer just John the intern. I think that works best.
Okay, we'll go with John the intern. Mm-hmm. And we have an image for that. We're going to fix that in a minute, and I'll deal with that in a second. But there's a lot we're going to be talking about today. A heck of a lot that we're going to be going over today. Information that not everyone is probably expecting here. And that's because we have stories on a lot of breaking issues, a lot of stories on what's happening here, not just locally, but also nationally. But also I want to do something that's a little bit different. And that is, we want to have some fun. We want to have some enjoyment here, because it's not always a work day. Well, matter of fact, this weekend took a little time after doing a bunch of yard work to relax a little bit. So we're going to be talking about a couple of different things here. We want to talk about what's going on in the media and how some in the media are protecting, not just at the national level, but we've seen this bleed down to the local level, and how they're protecting certain politicians and certain issues to advance a political goal. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about the CDC. A lot of people may not be aware of this, but the CDC, sorry, just fixing my sound levels here. The CDC really came out with an announcement that's huge yesterday, that a lot of people, especially if you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the right to protect yourself, to bear arms, the inherent right that it is, there's some very important news about that coming out from the CDC. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about the 2020 election and a very unique take on the 2020 election. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in the Siena poll that came out as well. So before we do all that, though, I do want to introduce everyone, give you a quick look here at that's right, that is John the intern. Say hello, John the intern.
Hello.
That's right. He's got his little Make America Great Again, and he's looking good. He's ready to talk. We're going to have some fun. And he's got a few things that he wants to speak about as well. So let's start off with, first of all, we're going to go with, I'm going to start off on my pet peeve. This morning, see, I live in upstate New York, and in the region that I'm in, there is one talk news radio program. Now, a lot of places throughout the nation, you have multiple programs. You have, some shows on AM, some on FM, like up in the Utica region of New York, which is in Oneida County for people who are not quite so familiar with it. There's a FM and there's an AM talk radio program. So you get to hear different voices, different opinions, different ideas. You have the the AM guy, who I won't speak to anymore because I've had big problems with him when I've been on the show. He literally cut off my microphone as I was speaking, answering a question he had. And that's Bill Keeler. So I don't like his program, but he's on. And then there's WUTQ, a program I've also been on. And I think those guys are great. They do a great job. Jason Aiello and also Mark Wahlberg and Rocco LaDuca. They do a great job. The three of them together. I've been on the program for, 6-7 years. So you have different voices and they have different opinions and they bring that together. That's what you see in most communities. 2 or 3, maybe more different programs talking about the different issues that affect you. Down in my region, which is in the southern tier of New York, we have one. Just one guy, one voice, one opinion. And it's aggravating. Now, to give you an example of that, this morning, as I was listening to the show, and I listened to several shows, getting news and getting prepared for everything I do here today, I'm listening to the show, and a member of Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow comes on. She's a candidate for a city council race, Aviva, and Aviva Freeman.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. She's on, and, very nice voice, very sweet sounding. And she completely avoids the fact that what her political affiliation is. She's talking about how she's shown up once to a city council meeting, and that it was in the city council meeting, which was organized by the fanatical fringe left of the region. She was part of that. Well, fantastic. And that was the welcoming resolution. You can go to my site, mvass.com, the Voss Political Commentary site, and you can see my article on that. It was in 2015 and 2018. But she avoided mentioning that Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow are social justice warriors, that they think that all white people should apologize for being born, that they disagree with, they don't like the police. They don't like the police doing the job of protecting the public. They have a lot of issues. And she doesn't want to talk about that. And of course, the host, who I don't want to name, because I do show up on the show sometimes, although I have disagreements with him and he knows this, won't mention any of that. He's not telling the voters something that's essential. Now, if you want to vote for Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, PLOT, or Citizen Action, or Black Lives Matters, or Antifa, which are essentially all the same people in this region and all the same ideology, that's fine. Go for it. That's your right. You have the right to vote for anything you want. I would never tell you not to do that. But for those of us who are maybe in the middle or on the right, they should know what they're dealing with. What does Political Leaders of Tomorrow stand for? I've actually been in one of their meetings where they mention how they refuse to have any member of law enforcement in their meetings. Their meetings are quasi-secretive, that you have to be invited into those meetings so you can find out what they're going to talk about. They won't talk to the press. They won't mention to people that they literally have advocated in a meeting where I was in, that they tell minorities, you can destroy rental properties that you live in because that's white supremacy. Let me be clear. Being a landlord is white supremacy, and that you are allowed to destroy the property of someone who is white, a landlord in a rental property. That's what PLOT tells people. I know this because they said it, and I was there in the meeting as they said it. This is what Aviva Freeman is looking to promote. Do you think that when she is on a program, a news program, a talk program, informing voters about what she stands for, that they deserve to hear about that? I think they do. I think that's important. And that's a failure in our media when we have people, and I'm not saying that, I am political as anyone else is, more than most. And I'm not saying that I don't have a bias. Of course I do. I am a Republican conservative political commentator. I'm telling you that up front. It's on everything that I do, so that you know, when you listen to this, is there a right lean to everything I'm saying? Sure. Of course there is. Because that's my perspective. I am a political commentator. I'm honest about it. But when we listen to many other people who do talk shows, who do political commentary, who do news, and they don't tell you that there is a lean, that they have a certain very specific perspective that they are going to give you the news on, and that they are avoiding talking about issues that are important to the public, then there's a problem. And I know this is a problem because, you can, if you wonder, go to the Twitter feed, MV Consult. Look at what I was saying June 11th throughout the morning. Okay, you can start from about 9 a.m. going until about 12. You can see everything I was writing there, and you'll see I'm asking questions that she should. Whoops. Hang on, folks. We got one of our background things that are going off here, and I don't know where it is. And I know that's annoying. Bear with me a moment as I fix this.
CDC.
CDC?
Yeah. It's from the CDC page.
Sorry about. Oh, that's where it's coming from. I apologize, folks. We just had a burst of sound coming from a commercial, and we were trying to fix that. I apologize. That's from one of the articles, and some of the things we're going to be talking about in a second. I apologize. Sometimes it bleeds over. But my point is basically that, you should know what's going on. And our talk radio, our news, should be upfront about where they stand. I'm not telling you that they can't have a political position. I'm telling you that they should tell you that. And they should tell you that they're not going to ask certain questions that may affect elections because they have that political preference. And that also goes to what we saw with Dan Livingston, Councilman Dan Livingston. Now you may remember that I've talked about Councilman Dan Livingston before. Councilman Dan Livingston is in my January 10th article at the Voss Political Commentary site. Yes, there it is. The Voss Political Commentary site at mvass.com. And you can also answer our poll, which is apologizing for being born a specific race racist, which so far most people are saying no. But on January 10th, I was talking about Councilman Livingston's first day. And on day one, he came out and he committed ethics violations with illegal videos of the members of City Council. And then he went on, and in January 25th, the issue became even more important as he was being investigated for his ethics violations. You would think he would have learned his lesson from that point. But no, he calls in today to the local talk radio program. And this is in reference to the fact that Dan Livingston did not learn. It was reported on June 7th that, and this is from WBNG, Councilman's Facebook video causes concern over potential security breach. Okay? And the article, basically, Councilman Dan Livingston took a tour of the Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Plant, a $300 million public asset, 2 weeks ago with Councilman Conrad Taylor. And at that point, he took a video of the plant. Now, why is this important? What's the big deal? Because he went out and he showed sensitive information that Homeland Security has regulations saying you cannot do that because it is a public safety hazard. It is possible to cause thousands of people to be killed by ignorantly or maliciously showing video of sensitive items in that plant and having someone do something about it. So this is something that Mr. Livingston, who has the only constant claim of, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. His answer to everything is, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the problem. Did you ask? Did you check? He never does. And this is a problem. So when he called in today into the local news talk program, you would think that, the person, the news reporter there would say, hey, Mr. Livingston, you're telling us you called in. Is this in reference to your recent violation of Homeland Security regulations? And he didn't. What he called in, Mr. Livingston called in to say, well, the city has a problem too. There's another video that's out in the public on YouTube, and it's the problem of the city. They have to get rid of that too, because it also shows sensitive information. Here's the thing. That has nothing to do with what Councilman Livingston did. Did the host mention, well, that's a separate video, that's a separate issue. It has nothing to do with your violation of Homeland Security. No. Now think about it. You have someone who's gone out, a member of government, that has gone out and endangered the very constituents that he claims to protect. And his answer is, well, other people have a problem too. How does that make you safer as a citizen? Think about that. If, I don't know, Chuck Schumer went out and showed video of U.S. secrets to the public and the world, and he pointed to another video by someone else doing something similar, would that make you safer? Does that make what he did better? I mean, quite honestly, that's the answer that we're talking about here. Because someone else may have done something that is also a problem, well, then it's okay. That is the most stupid logic I've ever heard in my life. And you should have heard someone in local news media say, well, that's dumb. That makes no sense. That doesn't absolve you of the crime and the problem that you did, and has nothing to do with it. No. What you heard is the news media said, local news media said, oh, well, that's quite interesting. Wow, I wonder why they did that. Well, the answer is because that YouTube video is not in control of the state, of the city government, and therefore they couldn't remove it, although they're trying to. We know this because that's what the Mayor Rich David, said. But I just think it's really interesting that we can go with a member of local government, can be called out, can be identified for having endangered the security of the public. And when he goes to try and excuse it by blaming someone else for something else, he gets away with it on local media. We should stop that. Please listen to your local media, see if they're doing the same thing. So that's a little bit of a gripe. I went on with that longer than I expected to. Let's move on.